Lou Diamond's music.
With people whose ancestors came from Africa. So when you total up the number of Afro-Americans, real Afro-Americans, in the Western Hemisphere, there are perhaps 100 million. And if these people ever unite among themselves, not only is it necessary for the Afro-Americans in the United States to be organized, but it's also necessary for the Afro-Americans in the Caribbean, or the Afro-Cubans, the Afro-Brazilians. It's necessary for all of them to be organized. And then once they are organized in each place, we have to organize among ourselves.
Desaparecieron a más de 100,000.
Where over 100,000 people are missing.
Desde la invasión mercenaria
And that comes from the days of the invasion against
no quiero mencionar otros muchos países
a democratic government there. And I do not want to mention other countries, but thousands of people have disappeared in Latin America.
Jamás en Cuba.
That has never happened in Cuba.
Uno de estos países fue bloqueado. Cuba sigue bloqueada.
None of those countries has been blockaded. However, Cuba is still under the blockade.
Esa es la realidad.
And that is the reality. That is historical reality. And we are against every blockade. Anyway, blockades goes against the people, against men, women, and children, against the youth and the old.
Revolutionary ideals not only spread throughout Latin America, but also forged strong ties with national liberation leaders such as Sékou Touré, Amílcar Cabral, Julius Nyerere, Zamora Machel, and Agostinho Neto.
When the regular South African troops invaded Angola, we couldn't stand by and do nothing. When the MPLA asked for our help, we offered them the help they needed.
In 1975, as Angola moved towards independence from Portugal, the CIA, along with the apartheid government of South Africa, tried to bring down the new Angolan government. At the request of the Angolan president, Fidel sent 36,000 troops to keep the South African forces from attacking Luanda, the capital. For many Cubans, whose ancestors were African slaves, the fight in Angola was a way to repair a debt to history. In 14 years of war, over 300,000 Cubans, doctors, teachers, and engineers, as well as soldiers, played an important role in Angola. More than 2,000 lost their lives. In 1988, Fidel sent in more Cuban troops for the decisive battle at Quito Cuanavale and directed operations from Cuba. The defeat of the South African army drove a large nail into the coffin of apartheid and helped advance the struggle of the South African people.
That's a clip from the 2001 documentary Fidel, The Untold Story.
Lou Diamond's
say
music.
They want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years, mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice? My lawyers were threatened with imprisonment and imprisoned. Is that justice? I was tried by an all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality, and then sentenced to life in prison plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too.
That is an excerpt of a letter Assata Shakur read, an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba.
Which helped us in training our people.
Que nos ayudó a entrenar a nuestra gente.
Gave us resources to get on with our struggle.
Que nos ayudaron tanto nuestra
Trained our people as
entrenó a
doctors and so
combatientes, a
on.
nuestros médicos.
You have not come to our country.
Cuba no ha venido a visitarnos, usted no ha ido a visitar.
When are you coming?
¿Cuándo viene?
No he visitado a mi patria surafricana.
I haven't visited my South African homeland
Me la
yet.
quiero como una patria.
I love it as a
Pero por él
homeland.
y por el pueblo.
I love it as a homeland as I love you and the
When
South African
are
people.
you?
That was Nelson Mandela imploring Fidel Castro to come to South Africa. And this is Fidel Castro speaking in South Africa in 1998.
Conviértase Sudáfrica en un modelo de un mundo futuro más justo y más humano.
Did you know that Fidel Castro was the one that helped defeat white racists in South Africa and end apartheid while America did nothing? American schools in American media will never tell you the truth. Pay attention.
Blue Diamonds
We
Music.
had to solve the problem.
Enviamos muchas de nuestras mejores unidades.
We sent many of our best divisions, pilots, planes,
Y le decimos, le vamos a prohibir a los sudafricanos
and we said to
intervenir.
them, we are going to prevent the South Africans
Cuando llegó la situación había
from
una gran
acting.
crisis.
When we arrived there was a great
Y es cuando
crisis.
se desarrolla la batalla de Cuito.
It was when the Cuito-Juana Valley battle took place.
¿Sabe cuántos hombres envió Cuba a Angola en ese momento?
Do you know how many troops Cuba sent to Angola at that moment?
55,000 hombres.
55,000 troops.
55,000 hombres. Lo cual habría, y voluntarios todos.
And all of them on voluntary
Lo más
basis.
importante.
That's the most important thing of all.
En Cuito, Guanabales se estrellaron los racistas.
And in Cuito-Juana Valley, the racists
Ellos
could not
libraron
win.
allá la batalla al este.
They wanted to have the battle to the east,
Lugar difícil.
in a difficult place.
Y allí le hicimos la trampa.
But there we lay a trap for them.
La trampa contra la
We
cual
lay a
se
trap
estrellaron.
against which they clashed.
Porque se convirtió en un símbolo. y
Because
quisieron
their
tomar.
Cuito-Juana Valley became a symbol.
Enviamos las fuerzas necesarias
We sent the necessary forces
para frenar,
to stop the South Africans' advancement
obligarlas a
and
estrellarse
to
allí.
force them to
Mientras le
defeat.
movimos 40,000 soldados
While we
cubanos,
moved 40,000 Cuban troops
20,000 soldados
and
angolanos
20,000 Angolan troops
hacia el suroeste
to the southwest
para amenazar
to
por el
threaten them on
en
the
esa
other
dirección
side
al ejército
to
surafricano.
stop the South African army from trying
Creamos
something
la
different.
correlación de fuerza
So we were
necesaria
able to create the necessary balance of power
sencillamente para alcanzar la
simply
victoria.
to stop them and to attain
La
victory.
aplicación de la resolución 435
So
y
the
al final
implementation of Resolution
el cese de la
435 and at the end
como
to put an end to
contribución
apartheid.
a la heroica lucha,
That
mil
was our
veces
contribution
heroica lucha
to the
del
heroic
pueblo
struggle of the
surafricano.
South African people.
De eso no se habla allí en Naciones Unidas.
You know, at the United Nations, they don't speak about that.
Escuché un gran número de discursos,
We have heard a great number of speeches.
se hablaba y se aplaudía la
People
independencia.
spoke about the
de Namibia.
independence. They applauded the independence of the African countries.
Parecía obra y
It would
milagro.
seem that that was the work and miracle of the United
Se
Nations.
hablaba del fin. Se hablaba del fin del
There
apartheid.
were talks about the end of apartheid,
Obra y milagro
like the work and miracle
maravillosa
of the United
de las
Nations.
Naciones Unidas. No se mencionó un solo cubano de los que murieron.
There was no mention about one Cuban of the many Cubans who died there.
El nombre de Cuba.
The name of Cuba was not even mentioned.
Vean cómo a veces
So look how sometimes
se pretende escribir la historia.
people intend to write history forgetting reality.
Yo soy Madiba, yo soy cubano y sudafricano. That's what I wrote.
Madiba and Castro had strong bonds.
You have praised Fidel Castro as a leader of human rights and said that Cuba was one of the countries that's head and shoulders above all other countries in human rights, despite the fact that documents at the United Nations and elsewhere show that Cuba is one of the worst. I was just wondering, are these your models of leaders of human rights? And if so, would you want a Gaddafi or an Arafat or a Castro to be a future president of South Africa?
One of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that their enemies should be our enemies. That we can and we will never do. We have our own struggle which we are conducting. We are grateful to the world for supporting our struggle. But nevertheless, we are an independent organization with its own policy. And the attitude of every country towards, our attitude towards any country is determined by the attitude of that country to our struggle. Yasser Arafat, Colonel Gaddafi, Fidel Castro support our struggle to the hilt. There is no reason whatsoever why we should have any hesitation about hailing their commitment to human rights as they are being demanded in South Africa. Our attitude is based solely on the fact that they fully support the anti-apartheid struggle. They do not support it only in rhetoric. They are placing resources at our disposal for us to win the struggle.